Here we are again. I know the last time I uploaded a Just United episode, I said I was going to be knuckling down with the series and trying to pump out as many episodes as possible before the end of the season. Did that happen? No, it didn't. Just so much has been happening, obviously live as well as the series that I've been focusing on, like FIFA and Football Manager. It's just got in the way. But I do plan for the start of next season, I know it's a couple of months away now, but I do plan to roll up my sleeves and really get stuck into this series by releasing an episode every week. Whether it's just me venting my frustration or absolutely singing the praises of the team because of a really good performance, or whether I'm joined by someone like I was not so long ago with Footy Gamer 89, not Football Gamer, Footy Gamer 89. So anyway, that's the plan for this series going forwards. Hopefully I can stick to it come next season. Anyway, let's get into it. The season is over. I kind of feel empty now inside because we've got a couple of months of the summer. Yes, we've got the Euros, but it's not the same as club football, is it? The Euros, international football, it's just... No, it's not the same. So, yeah, I'm feeling kind of sad and empty. And that's it. But 2 seasons anyway under Louis van Gaal. What have we achieved? Okay, first season he got us Champions League back, but that was only by the skin of our teeth. And then the second season we got knocked out of a relatively poor group in the Champions League when we really should have been reaching the knockout stages. I understand that we had 12, 14 injuries to some of the first team players. Maybe that did go against us, I suppose, but it's just a shame that, seeing that we spent $250 million, we didn't have any backup. But saying that, Van Gaal in this second season has brought through some exceptional young youth talent. I mean, look at Marcus Rashford, Fosu Mensah, Jesse Lingard was just about in the... Well, he wasn't really in the first team as much as he has been this season, but he was there or thereabouts even when Moyes was at the club. And then there's Varela as well, who I thought was really good in that game against Arsenal this season where we won 3-2. What a game that was. Thoroughly enjoyed that. His darting runs forwards and also in support of the winger, on the overlap, and just his touch and his crosses into the box. They were brilliant in that game. And I hope we see more of him come next season. Now, speaking of next season, I will get into that. But I mean, going back to Van Gaal spending $250 million. I mean, his first season was all about, getting us into the Champions League. And seeing that we didn't have European football, you would have thought that we could have gone on for a title charge or something. We didn't have to worry about fixtures midweek, but yet we still failed to do anything, which is fair enough. I mean, it's all about... That first season was all about rebuilding, and then come the second season, it's like, okay, now this is the season where you should be going for a title challenge. You should be doing good in the Champions League. And, of course, you've got the FA Cup and everything. I'll get to that in a minute. But I still can't get over the fact that we spent $250 million. That is a lot of money, man. We spent $250 million on these players, and we didn't even get to the knockout stage of the Champions League. We finished 5th, again by the skin of our teeth. I've gone over this many times, and I certainly don't want to be getting into it now. But with the FA Cup, it was almost as if it was a different United. It was the old United playing in the FA Cup. It was almost as if Fergie had taken the reins for that competition. Kind of like when Moyes was at United, it seemed as though Fergie was in charge of the Champions League side of things and Moyes was taking charge of the Premier League. They'd split the manager's role up, if you know what I mean. And it seemed like that this season in a way, because our league form, it wasn't good enough. Our performances... could have certainly been a lot better. But then in the FA Cup, wow, our spirit was incredible. We had that late win against Sheffield United. Yes, it shouldn't have took us all the way up to the 89th, 90th minute, and it came from a penalty as well. But we kept on fighting, and then we had West Ham. Again, another perfect example of spirit, of fight, from the United of grit, which we've kind of failed to see over the last couple of seasons. And then we were in the semi-final at Wembley against Everton. And I mean, there was probably some young kids in that crowd that, well, that was their Munich moment when Martial scored that very, very late winner. Again, fight, grit, spirit. The old United. It's just a shame we couldn't have had that for, well, every single game in the league this season. Look at Leicester City. Incredible story there, but look at the way they went about their business. They got stuck into every single game. They treated every single game like a cup final. And Leicester, they certainly reminded me of United of days gone by when Sir Alex was in charge. And I know those days have gone. And I know Fergie has retired and everything. But United as a club, we know what we want as fans. We know what we want to see. The club has a philosophy. I mean, for a club like United, I don't think it should be so much about the manager's philosophy and his way of thinking. It should be, well, more focus on the club's philosophy and how we go about business, you know, bringing up the youth and everything. But I think Van Gaal very slowly and eventually came around to realise that towards the end of this season. Because we all know how much of a disaster it was when he first came to United, when he put his iron fist down onto the club with his philosophy, his way of thinking, with his 3-5-2 formation or something like that. His wing backs, it just didn't work. It didn't tick with United, and that's what got everyone's back up. And I'm not going to go over it again. I've done it before. I don't want to do it again. You know, Van Gaal, he's pretty much gone. We've won the FA Cup now after beating Palace 2-1, only just. It was a very exciting final though. But when Punchin scored that goal after coming off the bench, I did have some doubts whether we'd actually go on and lift the FA Cup, because Palace, towards the end of the first half, oh man, it got so dodgy watching as a United fan. I was on the edge of my seat. I did think that they was going to get a late goal in the 45th minute and really change the landscape of the game. Thankfully they didn't. And then in the second, obviously Punchin came off the bench and scored that first goal, and that's when I really thought, I don't think we're going to do it here. But this is why I love United. This is why I love the club. And Mata turns up, gets that equaliser, and then we just go on from there. Smalling didn't help matters getting sent off, but when you look at the challenge, when you look at the space, I think it was Balassi, wasn't it, that he took down? It was a tactical foul. He had to do it. It was unfortunate that he was already on a yellow card, but he had to do it because Balassi would have been in and they would have got the second goal without a doubt. I don't think Blind would have been able to have caught up with him. And all this happening in extra time. I remember saying before half time over on Twitter, I don't want this game to go into extra time. I don't want it to go into penalties. We know United's luck in penalties. It's not the best. And of course, the game just had to go into extra time. It's just the way it is. It's the way things go. You don't want something to happen, but yet it does anyway, just to annoy you even further. But thankfully, we were on the right end of the extra time. Lingard getting the winning goal. What a way to win the FA Cup, by having one of your youth academy players that have come up through the academy to grab the winner, and what a finish it was. He absolutely hammered the ball up into that left-hand corner on that volley. Beautiful stuff. And come to think of it, I can't remember the last time I did actually sit on the edge of my seat for the whole of that FA Cup final. I can't remember the last time I did that watching United, because the 2 seasons into Van Gaal, it's just been so damn boring. I mean, you look at all the backwards passes that we've made each and every single game, how we've just gone about business. I mean, didn't we go on a run of 15 or so games where it was always 0-0 at half time? Talk about a real pull out your hair type season for United. Didn't think him selling so many players like Van Persie as well, and Nani went, and Hernandez, having such a mass exodus of players, such a clear out. I think it had its effect as well on the team. I think he could have maybe held on to 1 or 2 of those players like Hernandez, like Van Persie, and we might have been better off. But it is what it is now, and we've got to keep moving forwards. We can't keep going over it. I know Maybe we can look at these 2 seasons under Van Gaal as foundation building for the new manager. Because after we won that FA Cup, I'm sure you're all aware now that the news have broke that Mourinho is to take over as United manager. I think it was Mendes that probably released that news to the media, and the media obviously were all over it like a rash. Bit unfair, bit insensitive. I felt really sorry for Van Gaal in that post-match press conference where he got up, took the FA Cup with him and said thanks for the congratulations to the English media. Wow, they are like sharks circling around their prey. And I just don't understand why they do that. I mean, Van Gaal has only been in England for, 2 years? When you've got Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, who's been at that club now for over 20-odd years. And in the last 10 years, he's only won 2 FA Cups. And once again, this season, he's won nothing. Why don't the media turn their attention to Arsenal? Try and get him the sack. Maybe he's gone next year. We'll see. So, with Mourinho looming on Old Trafford as the next Man United manager, there are certainly many questions up in the air at the moment. If he does take over, what does the future hold for the likes of Ryan Giggs, our assistant manager? Does Mourinho keep him? I mean, Giggs obviously will get quite a lot of experience, get to learn a few things off Mourinho, a few new things as well maybe. Or does Giggs leave United, go and become manager of some other team, maybe in League One, League Two, maybe go abroad like Gary Neville did? I know it didn't really work out for Neville at Valencia, but maybe Giggs can go and get experience there and then come back to United when Mourinho decides enough's enough at United. Who knows? Or maybe, I mean, it's been put out there recently that Giggs could probably take over the under-18s now that Paul McGuinness is gone. There won't be as much pressure there, will there? Also, what does the future hold for Juan Mata? Because we know Mourinho and Mata had quite a bit of a falling out, didn't they, when they was at Chelsea? Mourinho dropping Mata to the bench and starting him on the bench for pretty much every game. And that's why I think Mata came to United. Wanted to be in the first team. Deserves to be in the first team. But will there be that animosity again if Mourinho does come? Will Mata leave? And I don't want to see Mata leave because I really like it. I think he's one of our better players. And then you got to think about how amazing next season is going to be. Look at the battles that we're going to have. You got Man City. Pep Guardiola is going to be taking over there. Pep and Mourinho don't particularly get on. Well, they didn't when Madrid and Barca came head to head when they both were in charge of both those teams. So what a battle that's going to be for the Manchester derby as well. And then you've got Man United against Arsenal, Mourinho, Wenger, them two. Oh my god, that game is going to be amazing. It's going to be so tense. Probably going to be some of the biggest games against Arsenal we've ever seen. The media, I'm sure, are going to hype the shit out of those 2 games when we play Arsenal home and away. I'd love to see a bit of a touchline tussle. Maybe see Wenger's tie go flying again, like we did when Chelsea and Arsenal met up. Wasn't this season, it was last season, wasn't it? One thing that's still eating away at me at the moment about Mourinho being appointed as United manager, and I know I've mentioned this in previous Just United videos, is will Mourinho come to United and spend all the money that Woodward gives him on, okay, world-class players? I'm not really against that, but to be going and, in a way, transforming the team, having an absolute overhaul and forgetting about the youth, it's not the philosophy of the club, I'm afraid. I'm hoping, though, that now that Mourinho has been to Chelsea, got kicked out there, they didn't want him in the end after he was a special one and everything. What a way to treat, your most successful manager. Disgraceful from them, but that's for another day. And he's been to Madrid, he's been to Inter Milan. I'm hoping Mourinho comes to United with a fresh outlook on things. Has maybe matured a little bit further. And we'll probably think, I want to settle down now. This is the club that I've wanted to manage probably all my career. Because we know he's been anchoring after the United job for some time now. I think, isn't there rumours as well that Fergie tried to get Mourinho in before he did with David Moyes? I think I'm right in saying that. We all know that Fergie and Mourinho are really good friends. They always like to share a good bottle of wine. So I'm hoping, as I say, that he comes to United with a fresh outlook and will want to work with the younger players, to go by United's philosophy, and to have the team playing more attractive football than we've been subjected to over the last 2 seasons. I mean, we did see a slight glimpse this season just gone when he was at Chelsea. He was using some of their younger players like Loftus-Cheek, Kennedy, and I think, wasn't Traore one? Trying to think, Dabo. That's as many as I can think of at the moment that he put into the first team, not just for Capital One Cup or FA Cup fixtures, but he put them in the first team for Premier League. Maybe that's why they sunk so low, because their youngsters just aren't good enough like United. So I would like to see him using players like Rashford and also Mensah and Martial. I just hope that they don't get benched. I don't think they will. I think Mourinho will probably be briefed on that when he does sign the contract. It'll probably be a clause in his contract, who knows. One thing I would really, really like to see happen with Mourinho at United is that he attracts Ronaldo and brings him back home. I mean, the rumour mill has been spinning for some time now, for many seasons, that Ronaldo is going to return home. I would love to see that happen. I mean, I think they got on really well when they were both at Madrid. I think wasn't it Mourinho that signed Ronaldo from United? So maybe he can bring him back home. That would be amazing. And I will leave you guys with that thought. This has kind of been a quick sum up of our season, our previous 2 seasons under Van Gaal. What can you say really, apart from he just wasn't good enough? That's why he's getting the sack at the end of this season and not seeing out his contract for the third. It just hasn't been good enough. We haven't hit our targets. You know, the FA Cup was never a priority, as Paul Scholes said. Yes, it's nice to win it, because we haven't won it since 2004. It's been 12 years since. We are now back level with Arsenal in FA Cup wins. I just hope that we come back stronger next season. I think we will. I'm feeling confident with Mourinho being in charge. That's going to be it for Just United anyway for this season. I know I haven't done that many episodes, and I do apologise for that. As I said at the start of the episode, I do plan to pump out more, maybe make it a weekly thing for next season, reviewing games, previewing them, talking about transfers and so on. I do also look forward to getting guests on the show again, as we've already done that for this series. Could see it as like a testing phase, and I think it went really well. So we'll see how it goes for next season. That's it for Just United. Enjoy the summer, enjoy the Euros. Hopefully England can go all the way and win the damn competition. Maybe in the final they can grab 10 goals to nil. Vardy to get all 10. That'd be the day. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. As I've already said, hopefully I'll be back even stronger for next season with this series. I'll see you all there. Thanks for listening and watching. See you soon.